Welcome to the YYC Real Estate Show. We're here at episode 26, and we got myself, Sebastian, Shiraz, and Laura Collins here. I hope I said that right.
You did.
Okay, good. So yeah, I guess we'll start off with the market statistics.
Yeah, excited to get to know Laura a little more in detail in a second here, but of course, the weekly update for everybody out there, what's been happening. Sebastian, you can give everyone their update.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So the total sales is 605, and that includes detached homes 290, attached homes, which are duplexes, 42, townhomes 88, condos 183, and 2 full duplexes.
So what I want to talk to everyone out there about that is, remember last week, I was talking about how the effects of fall being upon us will affect the weekly sales. We were seeing always in the 700s, all the way up to 800s previously, and we saw a big drop. We saw like a 552 only in the last week previously.
Yeah.
So now that's good that it went up into the 600s, but I wouldn't imagine it's gonna stay around there. I think we're gonna see 500 every week for the rest of this year.
And hopefully that does start showing higher active listings, right? More inventory, because then that will hopefully balance out prices and not new highs every week.
Well, what is the current active listings?
So active listings, we're actually at 2,523 listings, so 2,523 listings. So that's less than last week, right? We might have less sales, but we also have less active listings.
So we say this all the time.
Yeah.
Balanced market here in town is anywhere from 3,500 to 4,000 active listings. Mm-hmm. That's a balanced market.
Okay.
So when you only have 2,500 and change listings, you are in an active seller's market. Mm. There's less inventory and more buyers.
Yeah.
So the sellers have a little more power in this situation.
Right.
So when we're in a buyer's market, which we have been, because real estate goes in a graph like this.
Yes.
So when that comes, then you see like 6,000, 7,000 listings. And there's a lot of listings, not enough buyers.
And you're saying, though, there's 200 fewer total sales this year?
No, we go week by week.
Oh, week by week.
Yeah, this is just 1 week.
Oh.
Yeah, so total sales for this week was 605 sales in Calgary.
Last time it was 553. And for like 2 months in a row, it's been like 800 in a week.
Okay, and why, though, that drop?
So summer is over.
Yeah.
We're now into September.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of a dip.
Stabilizing.
Always into fall, less transactions, less sales.
Oh.
But the thing is,
market.
we can't say that less sales has affected the market because we're also seeing less inventory than last week. So it's not necessarily that because there was less sales, there's more inventory. In this case, there was less sales and less inventory. So that does not get us closer to a more balanced market.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always supply and demand.
Yeah.
So, and like interest rates now, of course they promised this, but who are we to say that they're
hold
going
them
to
on that,
hold them to that? Because the Bank of Canada said they would have X amount of interest rate hikes, but they had 4 or 5 additional on top of what they promised.
Yeah, we've gone up 450 basis points from the start of the year in interest, so 4.5% since the start of the year.
But now, last week, they promised that for the rest of this year, they're going to hold firm on their rate, which is 5%.
Yeah.
Now, there are, you can tell everyone out there what the current 3 rates are, a 5-year, a 3-year, a 2-year. But of course, it's prime plus.
Yeah, and hopefully that gives people a little more confidence of going into the market where it's like, at least for the next few months, we know what to expect. But
so what are the best rates out there right now?
So the best rates are for a 5-year term. For a 5-year term, you can get 5.24%. For a 3-year, you can get 5.94%. And for a 2-year term, you can get 6.14%.
But that's for the top qualified.
Yeah, that's for I
had a client that was happy he got a 7.2.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I got a mortgage.
Yeah.
So to each their own. What were the highest sales?
So for the highest sales, we had an Upper Mount Royal. We had a $2.59 million sale in only 8 days. And we had a $2.3 million sale in Altador. And that sold in 1 day. And for the lowest sales, we had $139,000 in Saddle Ridge, this tiny 309 square foot studio apartment.
That's an office.
Yeah, it's an office. And we also had $145,000 in Southwood.
Nice.
Yeah.
A little quick current events. What's been happening? What's going on right now in YYC? Prayers out to a woman this morning that was taken to hospital. She was hit by a vehicle as a pedestrian in the Northwest. intersection of 24th Ave and Upper Place Northwest, just after 8 a.m. this morning. So hopefully, I haven't seen any updates, but hopefully she's okay. So everyone out there rushing to get to their job or do an appointment in the morning, watch out for pedestrians.
Yeah, stay off your phone.
Exactly,
Too.
right?
Mhm.
So, and the union that represents WestJet, they're kind of on the fence with what happened. So the Pierre Polivier, how do you say his name? Polivier, his last
I don't
name?
know.
There. So
Thank you.
he used the platform to give like a full one, like just under a minute kind of campaign speech about himself. 2 passengers on WestJet.
Oh boy.
And so that's kind of like going in 50-50. Some people are like, it's great, it's getting out there, but other people are like, we're on a flight, this is, shouldn't be hearing political.
We're a captive audience.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
about that?
So, and also many residents in the small town of Cardston, if you guys know, southern Alberta, they've had a 121-year ban on liquor, and now it's finally being lifted.
Whoa.
121-year ban.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the town council made the historic decision Tuesday night, voting 5-2 in favor of a bylaw allowing restaurants and recreation facilities to apply for a liquor license, so they can now serve alcohol.
Oh my gosh.
I just can't believe that, like, I thought
Prohibition.
everywhere you go,
Yeah.
like, it's okay to have a liquor. Like, they have a liquor store, but
Well, in
as
North
far as
America,
restaurants,
you would think.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's pretty cool.
They were still doing the bootleg, right?
Right.
Probably.
Wild.
Cardston, yeah. I was just
Huh.
shocked to read that. Find that
Yeah.
out. And AHS, Alberta Health Services, says as of yesterday, the number of confirmed cases of E. coli connected to those 11 daycares in town
Oof.
are all now reopened and safe to resume business.
Oh,
So everyone that was affected has been treated and everyone's okay.
thank God.
And those 11 daycares are now reopened, business as usual. So good news there. And those out there that like murder mysteries, so Theatre Calgary is having a season opening show. Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap
Love it.
will be there. And if you're interested, it's $39 a ticket, $25 for rush seating, and they're on sale on Theatre Calgary's website now. And Calgary City Council unanimously approved a review of electricity bills that have skyrocketed, so they're going to try to tighten up on that. The cost on the regulated rate was between $50 to $70 per megawatt hour. So what this means is, like, if you look at a year, the average is between 170 to as much as 320, and we're so much higher than the other provinces for some reason here, even though we're like Alberta, province of energy. So thankfully they're gonna try to put a stop to
Yeah,
that.
and this is verbatim. Like, my friend said this, and I don't know if it's factual at all, but he said that the provinces had a small percentage increase in their utility bills.
Yep.
But Alberta had increases in the hundreds.
Exactly, which is what this is about.
Yeah.
Like, they had an increase of like $20-$30 and we had an increase of like $150.
Yeah.
So hopefully this helps. But with that quick little recap, as per usual, quick little update, 10 seconds of just letting you know we're still in a seller's market. Things are still going well. Those properties that are priced well and are great properties are still selling for higher than asking price. So that's still a good news. And hopefully the bank stays firm on keeping that rate where it is. So with that being said, very excited again to welcome Laura Collins.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for joining us here.
Am I close enough? Are we good?
You're good.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
Everyone can hear you. And please tell everyone out there who you are, what brought you to YYC, and how you've enjoyed life out here.
Okay. Originally, I'm from Montreal. And when I was 10, my mother worked for Delta Airlines. Her job got transferred here. That was in 1995, I want to say. We moved on to the same street that Blayre, my husband, lived on in Strathcona. And from there, I lived here till I was 18, so I did a little elementary, junior high, and high school here, St. Mary's, and then I left. I moved immediately, probably 3 days after, to pursue life in Europe. I lived in Munich for 1.5 years. I was an au pair, so I lived with a German family. It was very enlightening because I wasn't prepared to go to university, but I knew that I wanted to do something probably artistic. And so that was a great experience. It then took me to London, England for a time. I lived there, and then I had to kind of make some decisions in terms of how I was going to buckle down. And I decided that meant I should probably go to university. So I went to Montreal. I went to Concordia. I did like a Bachelor of Arts, and I didn't really feel like that was really suited towards what I wanted to do. I ended up studying fashion design and marketing at LaSalle College in Montreal, and that's where I discovered actually my love of interior design. So it was, all of these pivotal life experiences that I was always surrounded by things that I think culturally were driving me towards this, but I never thought of it as something I could do career-wise. And Blayre and I, after he joined me after our love blossomed in our early 20s.
I was gonna ask. So
Yeah.
you said you moved here on the same street as him
I
back in
did.
'95. So
Yes.
it's like, did you know him right away?
I
or-
did. Day one, his mother is very friendly, and so she made herself known immediately.
So that's where he gets it from?
As one of the, neighborhood, I guess, people that would be able to share all of her tricks of the trade of Calgary. So she was so lovely and took us in and involved us in all of the activities with the other kids. He has 2 siblings, and so I would do dance class with his sister and singing, and they were very involved in the Stampede, and to this day his sister is a musician, so is his brother. They're all very artistically inclined too. Blayre too, he's in film. But it didn't, strike till many years later. We were 20 years old. Both of us came back from life abroad, and my mom spotted him out one evening and said, "You'll never guess who I saw. Blayre Ellestad. He looks so cute." And I
Easy
thought,
to
oh my
spot.
God, and he had like big curly hair at some points, like you haven't even seen all of it. But he came to my house, and as my parents like to say, he never left. So so he knocked on the door inappropriately at 11 p.m. I answered, and really we just talked and talked and talked.
That's awesome.
And now together 17 years.
Wow.
So I'm 37, he's 38. We've been together all that time.
Congratulations.
And we've moved around together, and we're in Toronto for the past 12 years, which were really, I think, the foundational years of our adulthood.
Mhm.
So we had to make a decision. We have 2 kids. They're 2 and 4, Annie and Hugh, and my parents are here. They never moved back east. And do you have children as well?
I don't have children, but sure as
You
does.
do. And so, we had a community around us in Toronto, but we didn't have family. My father was there, but he passed. And so we had to make, those alter life's decisions. So we thought, if we are going to move, now's the time. My business was evolving also there, just because of, more kids being added to the equation. I had a partner, and, life happens, and this felt like a good decision to get that support. And if not now, like, we probably never would have done it. We would have continued in that same kind of, having guests come visit us, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about your father.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And I see here when you had your 7 years over there, you had a duo of LC and Kel Interiors. Was that over there? Because you were in the Toronto Star, HGTV.
Yeah. So I had a partner, Kelly Lynn Armstrong, and that was super instrumental, I think, in building the path as a full-time principal designer and owning my own studio. So I was dabbling in it before I met her, but I wasn't seriously, I didn't take it on professionally full-time. And so that really nudged me. I think, having a partner, it is an amazing opportunity to be able to share resources, to have someone to bounce information off of, to build a community around you in the design world, and to have someone to do that with when you're coming up is so invaluable. I learned so much. I, feel like even though I'm in a new city, I have a whole experience or a whole career behind me already to kind of, start here. But we were in Toronto for 12 years, but Kelly, Lynn, and I had our business for 7. So we were at a studio, I would call it almost a design collective that we were able to take over from another designer. So we rented from her, and then within it, we had 2 other designers that were also principal designers of their own. And so now I'm branching off on my own, but with Kelly, we were so lucky to make so many amazing contacts with, House and Home, Style at Home, HGTV, Rue. Like we had a lot of Globe and Mail. I'm racking my brain because there were a lot of great connections that came from some of the vendor relationships that we had, some of the, even your relationships as a designer with photographers are super important because photographers are often looking to take on new portfolio pieces so that they can share them with magazines and then they can sell them to the magazines. So it's a whole different climate and a different way of how you get exposure these days as a designer. So that was great.
What is a premier designer?
A principal
designer.
It's basically like the lead designer. So you're going to be the owner of the business typically, or if not, you have a certain level of experience. So you have certain accreditations, you have gone to school for X, Y, and Z, have a seniority. And then we had a junior designer who was excellent. She went to school for bath and kitchen, and her name is Kate Crespi, and she's incredibly talented. And with her help, it was so amazing to be able to delegate to her, drawings that we would need or, whatever it be to really execute these projects from beginning, inception to final product. So it was a really good time. It was great.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you learned a lot and enjoyed your time out there, but selfishly, I'm happy you're here now in the YYC, right? Having you and Blayre here is great.
Yeah.
I've gotten really close with him, so I was really excited to finally meet you. So thanks again for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Sharing a little about what you do. What's your experience here? Do you work or have you worked with anyone that's not just an owner? Have you worked with any real estate outfits, a brokerage? Have you done anything for a big multi-million-dollar listing and they've asked you to maybe stage it or help with what they should do to update it before they list it? Like, do you have any experience here in town with real estate? Because I imagine you just cater to someone that owns and wants to put their own touch with your help on their property, right?
Right. Okay. So I guess I'll answer in 2 ways. In Toronto, I would say all of the above, including very high-end luxury properties. In terms of staging, I would more so say, so staging is a very specific field in itself. There are many different strategies behind it as to, storing inventory, holding inventory.
Right.
Are you going to buy it, and is it going to be something that the owner is going to purchase and then try and sell to the next client who purchases the home?
Right, because it's decor and furniture, whereas what you do is like, you can't see, but please check out thorporter.com.
Yeah.
That's her website that I'm looking at now, and I've looked at them. I'm a fan of this one, the 007. So your style is like fixed. It's not furniture and decor. It's like...
It is, but we do full renovations as well.
Right.
So it's tough because I think when you're getting into the real estate market, you're talking about how finicky it is. It can be risky. People want to be sensitive a little bit. People are risk averse when it comes to really customizing their home. I think they need to. because you are living in this home.
Yeah.
It's an investment of your daily life.
And for most people, it is the biggest investment they will probably ever make.
Yeah, it's the biggest investment you're making. Why shouldn't you feel like you're walking into a home that is yours permanently for a long period of time? When someone says, but what if I don't like it in 5 years? Change it.
Right.
Like cost per wear, you have to think about how that space is going to make you feel. It should feel like your sanctuary. And so, a lot of people do like to think about resale, but I think there is a way to consider resale and then also think about how is that home going to really encompass your authentic style as a family, as a person, as a home dweller. So staging, no, but permanent fixtures and then decor, they have to work together. We would do both. We're a white glove service. We provided absolutely everything. Now, when it comes to Calgary, I am now building those relationships, I would say. I would love, though, I'm always interested in having a discussion with the builder. But a lot of builders like to make their own decisions. They think they know, what
I got a
the market loves. And I think they make a lot of, this is why they say builder grade, because it doesn't necessarily mean luxury, even if it's a luxury builder property.
I have this kind of idea in my mind that people, they'll like a home that is with, modern trends, but they'll fall in love with the home with character.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
And that going into your design process.
Yeah.
Are you ever this is a little too particular? If they do ask for I want it to be good resale, but I ever tell them this is maybe too particular, this is maybe too specific to your character, it's just that's just not a good.
I
design
guess it's a matter of how my taste and their taste align. So if I'm really on board with it, then I'm going to push it. If I'm not, I'm going to probably gently tell them that maybe we should consider something that feels a little bit more toned down for whatever it is. I think a lot of the time, and I don't know if you find this with your experience or process too, is a lot of people come to you with one idea, and then once you kind of delve into what are their needs, how do they actually live, what do you actually like, and really hone in on that, it is not a true reflection of their taste. They thought that was what they liked. And then as you push them, as you nudge them, if you're good at your job, I think that I know what you're doing here.
No, I was just going to take your advice on, let's say a client of
house.
yours. This is my listing.
Yeah, I heard. And this is an
I
iconic Calgary
Blayre and
home.
everyone to this.
You did?
I had a 4 to 8 open house, trumpet
I
Blayre.
drove past it the other day with the kids.
So we had a last week Wednesday. I drove
open
past.
House. I didn't know you were the listing agent though at the time.
Yeah, I'm the listing
agent.
agent.
I said, Blayre, you won't believe Hugh and Annie and I drove past the Castle House.
Yeah.
And Hugh said, is that house a Castle House too? Because we're driving through to Marda Loop, which we live right up through there. And then Blayre told me you were the listing agent. I thought, oh my God, I can't even believe it.
So it's a really successful and lucrative Airbnb. My sellers purchased it. My sellers purchased it a year ago and spent time acquiring some really kind of specific furniture to the property.
Yeah, I
changing the main floor, the paints. The paints was really weird because it was an artist collective for a while. Oh. So some rooms were Barbie pink.
Oh. Some walls are half painted. Right?
So my clients took their time and have it set up now, and it's a very, very successful Airbnb. They have other business ventures, so this is one of their many assets they want to liquidate to take advantage of something else. So it's offhand doing well for them, but now it's up for sale. And I just wanted to take your take. What would you do with the interior of this? If you just have a look.
I know this. I've looked at it several times because I'm always looking at what's happening.
Kitchen first, right? The flooring's redone, but this is because this home began in 1982.
Can I really speak
finished
from
in
the heart
1986?
right now?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Nothing's off limits here. We swear on here, fuck
but
it.
But in terms of client, preservation, do we feel I can say my feelings?
It's for sale. They're happy the way it is.
It is for sale, and then they gave each room character, right? And as far as what they were aiming for, which is a profitable Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
Or a lucrative Airbnb, they achieved that, right?
Okay,
So it's
they're
like,
happy.
so you can speak,
Everyone
yeah, they're
wins.
happy with what they got from it. So, because
Okay.
you speak openly about it.
Okay, I will.
Because this is a night. So I'll give you the history of this property. all right?
Please,
And
I've
everyone
always
out
wanted
there,
to know. I
if you
drove
want to
past
know,
it every day.
here's the history of this property.
Yeah.
In 1946, this was a bungalow. That's the original year built. A small bungalow on a big, almost 9,000 square foot lot. Small bungalow. And then in 1982, construction of what you see today began, and it completed in 1986.
Oh, wow.
So that's what we see today.
Wow.
So it's a 1986 structure. So this is like 1986
My birth year.
kitchen and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 84.
Okay.
So 1986, and then of course there's been some updates which everyone can see on my listing.
Yes.
In 2019, there was a lot of updates, like important stuff, like
Yes.
roof,
Like structural
hot water
things.
tank, things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. So other than that, my clients redid obviously some interior stuff, cosmetic stuff like the flooring in the main level that you see here, different paint and stuff around different rooms, and
Yes.
changing what that artist collective had done.
Yeah.
They did leave the basement as is, which is still that red and old. Like he's looking at it there, but I
Yeah.
can pull it up here.
Yeah.
And even like this, like the library is still like the same carpet.
Yes.
So
Okay.
so it's like what, like if you stepped into this, it's 5,500 square feet of living space, 5,500
Yeah.
square feet of
So
you to
we're
like
about to get.
let your imagination run wild.
I have
Right?
so many hot takes. Okay, first hot take was because I am always looking. I've been a House Sigma follower for years. It's been big in Ontario, and I'm grateful that it's here now. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I like to look at the history of the listing and the cost and
Yeah.
what's going on. Why is it terminated? What was the previous listing looking like before this one? So I was most interested in seeing this iconic house. I was super excited. So the first thing I was shocked to see actually is that it was so dialed down, because I was expecting it to be really like over the top, like
Inside.
Liberace, like, wall to wall, like
Well, do you want-
extravaganza.
No, it wasn't. Even like my clients had to get it ready
Yeah.
for being successful in Airbnb. Like here, I'll show you the
I would
history,
love to see. I haven't
like of
seen.
when they bought it.
Oh, please.
Like look how the interior was when they bought it,
Yeah.
and before they went and did all the work. Like this, they left as
Yes,
is, right?
Yes. But this is what I kind of expected everywhere.
So they left, right?
Yes.
But what they changed was the main floor, which you'll see in a second.
Okay,
here,
I can't
which is a
wait.
big difference. Like
Yeah.
here you go. Here comes the main floor. So you see that carpet there. Here comes the main floor with that flooring that you see.
Yes.
And then
Just
here,
linoleum.
and then look at that carpet
Yeah.
throughout the entire main floor. Very, very 80s, right?
Yeah.
So all this they had to change out.
And this is even a surprise to me, though. I thought I was going to see like Excalibur. We're going to like, what's it called?
Medieval stuff.
Medieval
Yeah.
times. Like I thought they were going to commit really hard to this.
They committed on the exterior for sure.
Yeah,
The
and-
gentleman that built this. in the
But
80s.
now that you say that it was previously a bungalow, I could see how the transition might have been confusing, and it might have been, they piecemealed it.
Yeah.
Like they never did a full on, So, okay, general thoughts. I was also surprised at that it was so reasonably priced.
Yeah, it is.
So that also surprised me. But I understand too, like we're working with a very specific niche
Exactly.
product here.
So I being in this industry for 16 years, I
Uh-huh.
had to
Yeah.
tread lightly here.
Yeah.
You don't want
Set
to.
expectations.
Yeah, you don't want to yes, for the lot size and the square footage and offering 3 levels of living space plus that little top look out there. We're not actually competing with the bungalows that are in this price range in Upper Mount Royal, which are there in this price point, right?
Yeah.
But I can't compare you to the $2 to $4 or $5 million other ones that are really redone, right?
No, because you're gonna have to put
Exactly.
I'm
So-
gonna say $1 million
so-
into the renovation to actually pull it up to grade.
Or you just take this massive 9,000 square foot lot
Yes.
and you could do endless
No,
possibilities. on
but
the
don't
lot.
tear it down. No.
But it's for sale. The new owner can
Yeah.
do as they please.
Okay, that's my other hot take that Everyone who knows me really well knows that I cannot ever stop talking about historical preservation and how we do not have that municipally here. But
we do have properties that are registered as heritage properties.
You have to register it as a
Yeah, this
private
is not
citizen.
one of them. Yeah,
I know, and I can't believe it, and like it kills my
because
heart.
it's a 1986 built officially,
but it's iconic and it's crazy, and like a madman clearly made this home, but it should not, even though it's not to my tastes, I still feel like it shouldn't be torn down for an infill. Like
it would be a bit of a shame.
I agree. My sellers were hoping, and I'm hoping as the listing agent, that someone takes this as we're offering it as turnkey.
Yes.
You're getting all furniture, all decor. You are taking over the very next day the account with Airbnb managed by Your Key Management. It's completely turnkey. You could be the owner, buy it today, and tomorrow you have the revenue and you don't do anything. They book it, they do the communication, they get the cleaning done, they do everything A to Z for you. And it's very, very lucrative.
I guess what I'm trying to say though too is I think it's an excellent deal for a property in which if you put $1 million into it, you could live in a fucking amazing house in Mount Royal in like the peak, you're on 33rd Premier Way, whatever, is that what it is? And Premier Way.
But it's that shortcut into 33rd.
Yeah, you're right there. And you could have an incredible space.
Truly one of a
kind.
Yeah.
Seriously, it gives me goosebumps and makes me, and it terrifies me to think that someone wouldn't do that. Although that could be its future, I don't know. But I guess because I'm coming from Toronto pricing, 1.3. When I say $1 million, that's nothing. Like to 2.3, 2.5 to get this up to grade. Yeah. Wow. What an opportunity.
For the area, the lot value alone is incredible.
Exactly.
In this
well, that's
property.
What I was thinking. Yeah. That's why I thought, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. But okay, what I will say about, neighborhoods of this echelon, but neighborhoods of this echelon, really, like what surprises me is you are typically dealing with land value. And so you expect the interior to reflect the, zip code or the whatever, the postal code and the maintenance level and the beauty of the neighborhood. But then you'll get a kitchen and you're like, what is this kitchen? Like this is the kitchen for a home in this neighborhood it puzzles me. It baffles me. I don't understand it.
If we were to show you what is for sale, what has sold in this neighborhood compared to the castle, you'd be shocked.
I know what it is. That's why I'm saying this is actually an opportunity. Don't bulldoze it, people.
One of the sales we talked about at the beginning in our weekly update, one of the number 2 sales in the last 7 days
Talk to me about
was
that one.
$2.5 million
which house
sold
was that?
For more than the asking price.
Can I see which one that was? Because I follow all of them.
Again, it's like, may I disclose the address? I can talk about
show me
what it is. I can show it to you.
Me.
What I can say is that the number 1 sale in the last 7 days sold for $2.59 in 8 days, more than asking price.
Yeah.
So I'll show you.
Yeah,
just to keep it completely.
We're gonna be discreet.
Yeah, like we're talking. We're gonna see it and see the address, but we won't disclose.
Okay.
For the public's view. Reach out to us and we can actually tell you privately.
And if you want to view the property, the castle, at
anytime,
any point, let us know.
I have to.
Anytime.
I have to.
Let us know.
And we'll
okay, I need to do that. Yeah, because I'd love to see the library. I just want to feel at the presence of the space in person.
The library is super cool.
Yeah, because I know that it doesn't even photograph with the substance of how
the
it actually feels.
Do not give it justice. We had when we did the open house.
Yeah.
One guy.
What a party house.
One guy was just walking through very casually with his family, but then at the end of it, he was like, "You just feel like you need to come here, and entertain, have fun."
It's a fabulous entertaining.
There was
place.
70 people, I would say, in there.
Okay.
So this right here's the list price. Right.
Yeah.
The list price was that.
Yeah.
And it sold for this much in 8 days.
Yes.
And this is what it was.
Yes. Okay. I'm aware of this. Yeah. Yeah.
This is $2.5 million.
I think, and again, I haven't been to the Castle House in person, but I think one of the limitations is the room sizes and the way it is compartmentalized, but that could be very attractive to some. I feel like it is old Hollywood kind of like you're in your little niche, you're in your nook, your cave. Like this is the speak easy room. Like it feels sexy.
Yeah. The feel that it gives me is like having a large party with lots of intimate small things happening, right?
Yeah,
because it has 2 living rooms on the main floor, plus
Yes.
the dining table, plus all those separate rooms,
Yeah.
and then access to the courtyard in the back, and then the basement too. Just so many separate spots.
The basement has a living room
Yeah.
separate. Obviously, the dance floor, disco ball, the snooker table, a full washroom, a bedroom, another sitting area with cases, and another little library. And then, of course, the bottom section of the library with the spiral leading up to the second level library.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the basement as well.
There is how many separate ways to get to the main floor? There's the main entrance spiral, the staircase spiral, and then the back of the house spiral.
There's 2 spirals from the basement, and then from outside you can take the
spiral to go to the other main floor. So
and
there's
that
4
really
separate
speaks
stairs.
to me like a spooky haunted kind of house. I love it.
And that's another thing
I love it.
I want to let everyone know, because I got some comments, and if you Google this property, something comes up where they say it's haunted.
Yeah.
So that I can definitely assure you must be disclosed, and it is not. This was
We're debunking.
There was
contested,
was once upon a time an estate sale, meaning this gentleman who put his love into it and built this himself from starting in 82 and into 86. Due to old age, this gentleman sadly did pass away.
Yes.
But that does not mean he passed away in the home, and it does not mean that this home is haunted.
It reminds me of Casa Loma, though. In Toronto, we have a castle, and a man, put his heart and soul into it, and then he went bankrupt, and then he had to sell it to the city.
Mm-hmm.
But it still remains as a major visitor site, and it's an iconic building. And I drove to St. Mary's every single day, passing that home, and then
I had sentimental value with it too, because when my clients acquired the property and I was invited over there for dinner, and they were like, we're gonna get it ready, we're doing some interior work, we're gonna get ready for Airbnb, what do you think of our new purchase? I'm like, this is amazing. I was like, I've in fact been looking at this place since I was a kid.
Yes.
Right? So I was excited that I was finally able to go inside.
Yeah. Okay,
so people can say what they want. I'm still excited about it. I was excited when I went there. I'm still excited every time I go there. It has its own charm, its own feel.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of it might still be 1986 other than the main floor and some cosmetic updates. But, the structural stuff has been taken care of.
Yeah.
All that's intact. Because, of course, when you're on Airbnb and you have the Airbnb license, which it does, everything has to be very safe. Everything has to be okay.
Right.
They have to check everything out. You have to have proper everything. So that's why all the main things are taken care of and are relatively brand new. The roof, the hot water tank, the furnaces, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
All the plumbing, electrical, all that's updated. Everything's good.
Yeah.
It's just, does somebody want to go in there and put their touch on it?
Oh
inside?
My God, I hope
Does
so.
someone want to keep it as is? And the future will show us what happens. But I'm excited to have it as my listing. I'm very excited about it.
You should be.
And
yeah.
I got on CTV. There was an article in CTV about it. A Zoo Casa was on, and one other one.
Global?
No.
I know exactly
There was
how
Zoo Casa,
I preview
CTV,
it.
and one other one. I can't remember the very first one that got access on it. But it's okay. So getting a lot of traction. Of course, to no one's surprise, I'm getting like 20 to 30 requests every single day. People reaching out to me directly. Like, I don't have an agent. I want to see it. And you have to give everyone the respect as if they're serious or not.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of them, I would say 80-90% of
Are
those,
just curious.
they just want to see inside.
Yeah.
And
Where I have to
yeah.
respect my sellers. And I have to kind of make sure, like, are you serious and interested in purchasing? I
and
don't care if
since
you're not interested, but are you even
Yeah.
qualified to purchase it if you want me to take you there?
Since it is a running Airbnb, there's also limited time where you can actually view it, right? Or show it to clients.
Right.
It sounds tricky.
So, and no, it's okay because
Scheduling logistics.
well, nowadays we have the luxury of technology. So, I got in the game from the faxing days, and I joke with Sebastian about this all the time. When I got into this industry, literally we used fax machines, and like I had to drive across town to get signatures, find the closest Staples or UPS to scan, and right?
Yeah.
So whereas now everything's done through apps, everything's done through electronic signing. So we have a really, really good app called Showing Time, which arranges and books all of our showings on our properties by other agents.
Perfect.
So I just reached out to the management company, Yorkie Management. They gave me the entire booking schedule for this month, and then I'll update it again when the next month comes around. So I've only opened those windows where people can see it before somebody checks in. And yeah, I've warned a few agents that the cleaners might be there, and they're like, that's fine. So that's the only hurdle.
cleaners.
Yeah, the cleaners for it. Yeah.
Well, if you have anyone that's interested in turning it back into what I feel it never was, which should be like
the exterior's there, right?
Yeah, like an old Hollywood, like stuccoed, beautiful manor. I'm the designer that wants to help execute
You heard it here.
this. I'm serious. I'd love to do that.
FORporter.com.
Yeah, FORporter.
FORporter.com.
Yes.
And how else can everyone reach you?
Oh my God, my phone number? My email, howdy@forporter.com is my
HOWDY?
Yeah, I'm Calgarian now, so
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah, there
really,
we go.
Yeah, and it's for Porter. Our daughter's name is Annie Porter, so I thought, what am I gonna do with this new business? What am I gonna name
You're
it? I
making
wanted
it for Porter.
yeah, and I didn't want it to necessarily be, tied directly to Laura Collins' design per se, that it was just going to be me. So I wanted to open it up to be a little bit more, like, what is it?
Right.
Really
Yeah.
good name though. I really
And
like
it's
it.
a great
you.
website. So
Thanks.
everybody out there, please have a glance over.
Yeah, and we're gonna link it all down below as well. If you want to check it out, just click it out, and it's so much
Is there
information.
any social media handles you want everyone to know about?
At Laura Collins Design, and then I have at For Porter Inc. Someone had For Porter Inc. And that's the Instagram. That's all. That's
enough.
a great start.
That's
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
That's a great start.
We'll tag that stuff as
Yeah.
Yeah, and just as we've started this podcast since early this year, right?
Yeah.
And you've also started a podcast in the spring of 2023, right?
Yes,
How's that going for you?
It's fun. Why I love doing it is to connect with people. My, I guess, hook is that I just like to talk to people in the creative community, people that are specifically YYC driven, and people that, know a thing or two about design. So I feel like you two would also qualify to, I love talking to real estate agents. It's such an interesting perspective, like on a high level of what I do. Like the back end of it is you guys. So it's so interesting to kind of have your lens into what we're doing too. Like hearing you talk about the statistics, I'm like, there is a house I would love to ask you about actually that is in Mount Royal. It is so interesting. It's a very unique space. It has an incredible
Upper Mount Royal?
Yeah. It has an amazing great room with beams across. And I want to say it was built in 1930. If we look, I wonder if I'm following it on House Sigma.
Well, you can just tell me where it is here, and
Well,
we should be able to bring it
I
up.
feel like, we have limited properties that pop up when we look there. So maybe, is this guy it? This is it. Okay, 2.1, here it is. Okay, so this guy, I am obsessed with this home. It has been sitting for so long.
Let me pull it up here. So that's I got it here.
Yeah, you have it.
I see what you said.
Can check this out. So 1995, that kills me. But yeah, so we have it here. There's quite a jump. I don't really know what they did, to be honest.
Let me see the dates on
though,
that.
only 2.
Yeah, from here to here, the market has gone up like crazy
So
as well.
substantially.
Yeah.
But still,
Look at
again,
this.
in Toronto, I know.
2021,
Yeah, we're looking
and
at
no difference. Even the photo's the same.
Yes, exactly. So they
So it
just
must be
bought
a-
it and resold it because maybe they ran
2 years
into
later. Well, this was
problems
I
structurally.
knew about this property.
Can we go to the great room though? It's
so this-
exquisite.
I knew about this property. Why? Because it is such a massive 85 by 185 lot.
Okay.
So it's a developer's dream,
yeah.
and that's what
See, that
this was
scares
for.
me.
But that's what's desirable here.
Ugh.
You want to make a huge lot and maximize on the location of this property, right? This huge lot.
Just wait till you get to the great room, though. It's so amazing, like talking about hosting and entertaining and possibilities. There would be ways to, like, this is not what you want, but that first arched kind of Dutch colonial, like, look at this stuccoed interior. This is what I was envisioning for
inside.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. It could just be such an incredible space. But then
you get
that's when
into
I scream.
Yeah.
But take down a couple walls, not the whole, unit. And this too, there would have to be, you'd have to come up. But it is.
And here's a rendering of what it could be, right?
If you demolish it and build it again.
Well, there's a house identical to that right now in Wolf. Can I say that?
You can say that. You didn't say the address. So.
I'm being vague.
No, it's fine. It's more than fine.
But
I do know
it
this
could
property.
Be such an amazing opportunity.
I viewed this property. I know all about it.
And what did it feel like in person? Did it feel like a special space?
It did. It's that lot. There's so much history. You have to remember, like, mine that I was talking about is a 1946. This one's a 1932.
I know.
Right? So, like, and the original structure is still that structure.
I know, which is why this history should be preserved and
so you,
saved here.
You kind of feel it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Montreal. Lots of history there. Lived in Europe. The history
Don't even get me started.
There.
Yeah, like, we're embarrassing here. Like, I've said it on the cast many times.
Canada's like 156 years old.
Like, we're 160 or something,
I think so.
if that.
Yeah, 150.
And I've been in Europe, like, all the time because of my wife. Like, we go there quite a bit, and they have 500-600-year-old properties still standing. So, and to see their architecture from way back when, and today we're making, like, my European in-laws, they make fun of us here because they've visited here, and they're like, they make fun of us Canadians because, like, you guys live in matchboxes. You make your houses out of wood. Like, have you guys not ever heard of the Three Little Pigs?
This is stucco.
And I felt that way too when I was I had my cousin over from Mexico, and I was taking him through some newer neighborhoods, and he was like, "Oh, this is an older neighborhood," and I was like, "No, these are actually brand new homes, right?" Because they're just like the house plain and simple. They looked on the outside very cookie cutter and similar to their neighbor and the neighbor after that. So I was like, no, this is brand new properties. And
a big pet peeve for me is, like, for example, when you go to one of my favorite communities, Garrison Woods, and you think, oh man, what European charm. Red brick on the outside, and you look to the side of the house, they just put red brick only on the front. The side of the house is just regular vinyl.
Just like you're at Disney World.
Like, what?
Well, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm knocking, anyone that finds charm in these neighborhoods, because there certainly is. However, we do have historical, properties here that are beautiful, and that if you were able to turn it over to someone who has a little vision, these could be brought back to a very modern day, working, beautiful property that is unique and interesting. And
well, I'll give you an example of a property where they recently put it up and they kept it original. Well, they kept the structure original.
Yes.
And it's, you don't have much to work with. It's a tiny little...
We're going there. This is exciting.
It's a tiny little...
Did they paint the exterior black?
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
I'm excited.
It's a tiny little property, but they did the most they could with it.
Yes.
And I like that they kept everything original about it, right?
Yeah, so I guess, too, just to talk about my process, because I feel like we were... wrapping up, but
we're not wrapping up.
But I know you're being mindful of the time too, but so when I walk into a space, I'm not just driving it by what is my taste, what is my aesthetic, but what is the home saying to me? People might say, we have Parisian flair, but then you walk into this home and it's clearly a mid-century home that you need to pay attention to. What are the structural demands that the home is already giving us? And how much money do you want to do you put into it to then change it to be Parisian, to add moldings, to strip all of the mid-century, and then vice versa. If it's a very ornate home and you want it to be mid-century, maybe you shouldn't have bought a home that...
This one that I was talking about, I pulled it up. Sorry, it wasn't
Where
Killarney?
are we?
South Calgary.
Okay, yeah.
So Marda Loop area.
Yeah.
1912. Built in 1912, still the original bones, original structure, but they did what they could with the interior. So, original structure,
Yeah.
updated as much as they could, as you see.
Is this right by Luke's?
Yep.
Okay, I think I've walked past it.
So don't have much to work with. It's a tiny space, but you
This
talk
is
to
very
any of my
Toronto.
European friends, like
Yes.
you don't need much space. Like
No.
they're surprised that 2-3 people need a 2,000 square foot home, right? But so I like what they've done. I've seen inside this. I really like what they've done with the space that they have,
Yes.
and I appreciate that they kept this 1912 structure intact.
Agreed.
So this is kind of like what I wanted to show you, which you were like, well, I wish someone would just keep
Yeah.
what's there and put a little bit of modern flair on it, yet keep the original structure.
So what do you think drives people in this market to do that? To want to just, knock it down? What is that?
It's really comes down to builders and business.
Mhm.
Like they see a lot like this in a very desirable area, and they want to maximize their profits as much as possible. So they'll be like, why are we going to keep the original
And most
740 square foot bungalow there?
Yeah.
We have this lot
Yes.
in a very desirable neighborhood.
Yes.
We're going to make it a 3-story infill. And
Yeah.
we're going to sell it for $1 million.
Right.
Yeah.
That's their mentality.
Right.
And the thing is, like, most of you right now, I'm not saying that builders are getting brave, but builders are willing to test the market. They'll buy a property, right, and they'll want to tear it down and then build 2 beautiful houses, right, on it, subdivide it, build 2 beautiful houses.
Mhm.
And they're just willing to, see what the market gives them. And right now, they're just willing to test it, right? That's kind of thing. It's like the potential of profit is just so good right now with the market that I just find that if you know a builder, they're always looking for lots. It's just
So all of them are builder driven though. These are not
Mostly, yeah.
there's the flippers, right?
Yeah.
The people who want to flip, but they're also
I really
not into
struggle
it.
with what they're doing though.
Yeah, they're
really
also-
picking cheap materials. Like
Yeah.
I don't want a home that's been flipped. I want a home that's been untouched from the, original. That's hard to come by.
Yeah, but
it's
the,
very, very
Usually find
rare.
that.
the
You
one
can
thing
find it.
about
Yeah.
flippers though is that they're usually getting like properties that have been neglected quite a bit.
Yes.
And then they're making them livable and somewhere where a family can really enjoy themselves
Yeah.
again, right? Which is admirable in its own sense.
Yes.
What I really love is Calgary's original downtown. Like you can find some gems in Inglewood
Yes.
that are like from
Can you
1908.
talk to me about that neighborhood?
So
the
it's-
residential part.
It's the original downtown
That
before
is the
the
main
downtown that
street?
we know. Yes.
Oh.
If you walk there, you'll
Yeah.
see on the lamppost,
Yeah.
it'll say like the year it was established. It still has the very first bank we ever had. That's still there as a bank, CIBC.
Oh.
So you'll see the year that they made that in sandstone,
Oh.
which again was like not outlawed, but the rules changed for like because fires and stuff like that. They were building so many commercial structures with sandstone here,
Mm.
and then they stopped them because of some fires and deaths.
Yeah.
So that's one of the last remaining kind
Wow.
of historic landmarks, like the
I
original
didn't know
bank.
that.
If you go to that CIBC, you'll see the photos of when they opened it, and it's such a cool photo. Everyone with their top hats and
Yeah, I
those
love
like
it.
Model T Fords, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, I was not aware of this, of that being the original main street of Calgary.
It was the original downtown
Very
in Inglewood
cool.
there, yeah.
Okay, and that residential area though, it's unique.
Very and
Mhm.
very, very desirable. But
Okay.
the same thing we're just talking about right now, a
Yes.
lot of builders are grabbing those amazing lots right next to the water, next to the river,
Yeah.
and just making as much as they can possible with that lot, right?
Yeah, they literally maximize the percentage of land, like of
That you can
house,
develop on
yeah,
it.
that they can
Yeah.
develop on, right? And literally, they max out the number of windows. They can't make the garage any bigger because if not,
Like-
they have to reduce the size of the house.
Yeah.
and
Like
all
this
this
is
kind of-
this is a 1910
We're in
two
Inglewood.
bed 2 bath
Yeah.
built in 1910, listed right now for 2.7 million.
And in Inglewood?
Inglewood. This is all Inglewood.
Now, how do we feel about the is anyone here worried about flooding or
well,
what is the
we had
thought
the
process
flooding,
of
and
this?
then remember we had our river go high, but it affected those like not Blayre, but what community?
Rita
bonus.
Roxborough?
Bonus.
Oh.
Bow Crescent,
Ridge,
especially
yeah.
both that Bow Crescent
Yeah.
Road had a ton of. We were actually just there. I was there this morning door
It's
knocking.
so cute, by the way, and
Yeah,
I
here you go.
never
Look, this is
spent time
still
there when
like
I lived
very
here.
very European.
It's very charming. This is very much like the neighborhood.
And look,
we
this is
lived
still
in.
kept like how it would have been.
It
you know?
is. This is probably, the second owner, or
But
whoever's
see,
been there
look
for
where their
6
backyard
years.
is.
So you would not be concerned as a listing
It,
agent?
it's definitely a concern, but then what you also have to remember is that happened once in 100 years.
That's what they call it.
I know. I've heard varying stories about this though, of people who've lived in Bridgeland who
But
were
this
flooded.
is why it's 2.7,
often.
right? Normally
Yeah.
you get this little lot.
You got the whole thing.
You have this lot.
You have a waterfront casa happening.
Exactly.
Oh my God, this is what they're proposing?
No, this is
Oh.
a next listing. This is an apartment for $2.5 million in
Wow.
Inglewood.
So what is your favorite neighborhood, not to sell in, but just in general here?
Favorite neighborhood?
Yeah. Where do you live?
I live in, we always bounced around the Northwest.
Okay.
When we came here from Pakistan, we
Yeah.
always just bounced around the Northwest, which is an amazing area. Noah's Hill's right there.
Yes.
A lot of old mature trees, a lot of greenery. So I do have like a biased love for the Northwest.
Yes.
But always historically, Southwest is the top area
Mm-hmm.
for Calgary and always has been.
Mhm.
So I really do like Aspen. I really do like Springbank. I'd like Discovery just because you can go to Griffith Woods.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like a lot of those. Bonus, I think for me is like one of those hidden gems. Older properties,
Bonus-
big lots. You got the Bonus Park, the river. So I do really like
those
Bonus.
riverfront lots are incredible. Actually, this home was one that.
Oh,
Have you ever heard of this architect, William Gray Purcell?
no.
So I went to a home today, and this gentleman got the original plans for this home and rebuilt it in Bonus.
God bless him.
Yeah, in 2005, he rebuilt it with as similarly as he could with modern things like obviously this is built in 1913, but he put modern lighting and he opened up the kitchen a little bit so it wasn't so closed off.
Mm.
But you wouldn't realize that such incredible architectural homes are in Bonus, but I was inside one of them today, and the guy had so much pride showing us his beautiful home.
That was not happening when I moved 20 years ago. Bonus was not on the radar like this. And so I was so taken aback when I drove through that main street and
Mhm.
saw how cute that is. But my concern would be the flooding.
Yeah.
Unless it's not.
Well, they have done a
Well-
lot to like remedy that,
Oh, they have.
but it's still in the floodway, right? It's still in
You're still in the flood zones in certain
Flood
areas.
zones,
I
yeah.
showed a property in High River. My client wanted to make an offer. Was this in the flood zone? Flood zone? Yes, it was in the flood zone. Yes, it was flooded.
Yeah.
Been remediated, but that issue and concern is there. Insurance is higher for
Yeah.
a property like that.
I talked to the gentleman that owned this home, and I was like, "How was your home during the flood?" He said he had 2 sub pumps, but he said it
Wow.
would have been fine if the water hadn't reached 1/3 up these windows and gone into his house on the
Yeah.
main floor. Right? He's like, it would have worked,
But again, you also have to remember, like, if you look back into the history, it's like we only have what's documented here, and there's not much documentation. So there was another previous flood before this one, so it was 100 years apart.
Spooky.
So,
Yeah.
and then this is in
Okay.
Inglewood. This is a really cool house. It used to be a commercial spot
Okay.
once upon a time.
Yeah.
But what a cool, like, this is a legitimate red brick European style
Yes.
everywhere, right?
Yes.
So this is a cool one.
Oh, look at the price. Is that what I think it is? Oh, where are we though?
Inglewood.
Like, no, but what is the surrounding?
It's in front of that
Ew.
really, really fancy and wonderful restaurant.
Rouge?
No, it's it's something house.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking.
It's right on the corner there.
It
And the
escapes
restaurant's
me.
right here.
Yes, yes.
So,
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It seems like there are a lot of historical properties.
so here it is,
over
and
there.
there's that
Yes.
the restaurant, which is a house.
My parents got married there.
Yeah. So what is
Yes.
it called?
I think Rouge. I think.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
No, that's not what it is.
Okay, but Rouge is also right there.
Yeah.
And it is red.
Yeah.
So I know what you're talking about though. They do events there all the time.
Yeah.
No, it's very interesting. This is absolutely a different city. I'm loving it though. I think everyone is, when I'm talking about doing my podcast, I think everyone has been so interested to participate and so excited and so generous with their time, and everyone in the communities knows each other. So I don't know what it's like in the real estate world.
We've talked about this quite a bit on the
Yeah.
show, how like we love and live here and appreciate that Calgary's somewhat of a big city, and yet it still has that small town feel. You're still running into friends. Like we did a podcast at Canada's first bar podcast here in town.
Yeah.
I went in there because they met him while I was in the Dominican. Him and Zach, another team member of ours, and I went to high school with him. And we didn't see each other for 21 years.
Wow.
And we just sat, and instead of talking about his show, we were just reminiscing.
Yeah.
But talking about history, this is near my house.
Okay.
In Sage Hill in the Northwest. This I had my eye on, and I looked at it because this specifically has a very, very historic history to this one property.
Okay.
It's the Christie Ranch House, symbolic of the pioneer ranch families who settled the Simons Valley part of Beddington in 1889. Built by owner and trained mason James Christie in 1900. So the home is vernacular style Victorian ranch house constructed with local sandstone, influences of Queen Anne revival style, and they kept what they could.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. So Sage Hill.
Like
so
there's
where
a
is
photo
Sage
of
Hill?
Sage Hill, there's a
Wow.
very end of
1900.
the very tip of the northwest of Calgary.
Okay. Wow.
And then you'll see like the fireplace still has the original copper around it.
And did you view the home?
I did view the home.
And
It sold to a nice family, East Indian family that moved here from Vancouver. They sold their farmland and they live here now. And because there's so much land, the owner, I met him,
Yeah.
he's going to develop the land he has next to this property for his children.
Oh.
So they'll all
A
just
compound.
stay. Yeah, compound
Wow.
for his like lineage, you know.
Wow.
But there's that copper work
Yes.
around the still wood burning fireplace
I love it. Very cool.
right here.
Very interesting.
But what's really cool about it is like the original photo. Like,
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
interesting.
that structure is still there,
Yeah.
but they've made additions to it, right? So
Do you work with interior designers? Like, what is your relationship with interior designers? Does anyone ever ask you?
yeah, so I've had
Uh-huh.
clients a few times ask me.
Yes.
They buy a property with me, a brand new build,
Yeah.
or sometimes it's their first property.
Yeah.
I want to furnish it, but I don't want to just go to Leon's or the Brick and Lazy Boy and just buy some stuff. I want it to look nice. Can you recommend me some interior designers? And unfortunately, before today, I didn't know any on a first name basis.
Love it.
So literally what I did back in the day is I literally was like, yeah, I'll give you,
You
I'll
Google?
give, and I would find
Uh-huh.
someone, or I would ask a few of my fellow agents that
Right.
I've done deals with
Yeah.
and say, do you have an interior designer? And then they
Uh-huh.
would recommend me somebody as well.
Right.
So I'd reach out to my network,
Yeah.
and if they didn't
of
have
course.
someone, I would have to just do the homework and and talk to 2 or 3 that I found online and find out, in my opinion, who was the best,
Yeah.
and then refer them. And tell them, like, I'm the real estate agent, I'm referring you, you better do a good job for me, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Don't
what
smear my name
that's
for
what
us.
that's what I did in the past. But now I already know where to go.
just for my information,
Yeah.
when let's just say even for doing interior design for a home, someone just bought a home or is looking to stage a home, how much time would you usually like to kind of design that home for them? Would you like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? How much time would you just like to like?
I'm going to blow your mind right now. So I do a consultation. From the consultation, there's usually some back and forth as to, refining the scope. If there's a lot that we are doing, meaning like there's going to be a renovation, there's a lot to pull together. So we usually reserve like 6 weeks to just pull together the presentation. Because you need to make sure all of the things that you're sourcing are available, they're in stock, they will meet the timeline.
Okay.
And then we say like 6 months to a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 6 months to a year.
Yeah,
to
like I'm not pulling things off
For
the showroom
renovations,
floor. No, think about, supply chain. Everybody said that word a million times.
Mm-hmm.
But even without COVID, like, the budgets that I work with are like 150 plus for decor and furnishings.
Mm.
So these properties are
Wow.
not spaces that, you know, you could still go to a smaller home though, and you're still waiting on, unless you are going into a showroom and they have the item in stock for you to purchase off the floor. But like, name me where you can do that. You just
That's
name
true.
them. Like, you know, those are places like IKEA, the brick, and I'm not even knocking them. I'm not saying there's not a piece from those places that probably wouldn't be fabulous, but you're not going to do the whole home that way. And I do custom things.
And how's it? I was just about to ask you, how often do you custom things? Like,
a lot, mostly. So, you know, I'm working with vendors who are reupholstering things, that are doing millwork, adding millwork to spaces, you know, layering the spaces with window draperies. Like, all of those times for production, you have to pick the fabric, then you have to order the fabric, then you have to put the fabric into production. So all of these pieces have to be. So it's a big production.
Yeah, actually, I guess completely wrong when you said you were going to blow my mind. I thought you were going to tell me it's really quick, but then you told me it takes a really long time. And I guess there's something to appreciate. There's something to appreciate about that process, though. Like, you're not just in it for like, oh, here, let's do this as quick as possible. Hopefully you like it. It's like, we're going to make sure that this is, you know, something you're going to fall in love with.
Well, she said it's a white glove service, right?
We have had people come to us and say, you know, I have a baby coming. I'd like it. I have 2 months. Well, the thing is, you know, you could hire someone to do it for you in 2 months. There is a person out there who will do that. It will not be me, though. So, you know, when I was young and hungry, and I'm not saying I'm not hungry, but when I was younger and just getting my feet wet, I would say absolutely. But then you are running into so many problems and delays that promising, like, you have to set your expectations all the time. You have to do that right from the beginning. And if you are telling someone that you are doing it in 2 months, that person's probably a stager. You know, that's probably where their background stems from. And they are going and they are buying things that are off the rack. And it's not going to be the same kind of result and same kind of intimate, I think, you know, final product.
And maybe forgive my ignorance on this, but how often do you like collaborate with architects to be like, no, this doesn't really work? Like, you kind of like switch out the whole like, you know, how the kitchen is set up and the, you know what I mean, right?
So I like for the client to bring me on as soon as possible, right from the beginning of the project, because then there is an opportunity to actually weigh into the architectural plans. An architect will have their own opinions as to layout, but maybe they don't have kids. Maybe they don't understand the flow of family life. Maybe they're just thinking from an aesthetic perspective and not function perspective. So I think it's important to have a collaboration with all the trades that are going to be involved. So you can really, like, I'm not my way or the highway, honey. Like, I'm not that kind of designer that's going to be like, I hate that, or you must have this. You know, I will never say that, but I think it's important for everyone involved to really talk so that you will have really the best collaborative end product.
Oh, that's a great philosophy, and I can totally understand.
Yeah.
And it's great you do that, because unfortunately, what you're mentioning, sometimes the stigma is there where they're like, you know, ew, no, why would you think that? Yeah. No, but you need to work together and make sure they're happy with what they received. And they need your advice, or else they wouldn't have contacted you. But at the same time, you probably do a very intensive needs assessment with them, probably.
Yeah,
right?
you have to listen more than they even know that they're communicating what they need to you, like you do. You need all parties to be present so that the wife or the husband or the partner doesn't come back and say, I don't like a bungalow. I don't want a pool. Meanwhile, you've showed them all homes with pools that are bungalows. And you're going, hang on a second. Who is this ghost client that is suddenly emerging and disrupting our flow? So it's really important for everyone to communicate as much as possible, always throughout the whole project.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Communicating.
Yeah. Communication is key. Here's the most expensive currently listed detached property in town.
Okay.
It's in Elbow Park. It only has 3 bedrooms. It's for $9.8 million. I can talk about it because anyone in the public can look this up. It's listed.
Okay.
$9.8 million in Elbow Park with only 3 bedrooms.
Where? Oh, it is down by the river. Is this by Sandy Beach? Kind of? Okay, yeah. I've seen this one. Yes. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Who are you showing this to?
You.
Who's your client?
No, I'm not showing
But
this.
who is your client?
I'm showing this to you to be like, what do you think?
This is very selling sunset to me. It's
Yeah,
very
I was gonna
specific
ask you,
buyer.
like-
This is someone's second home, probably. They have
Like,
multiple properties.
What's your opinion of what they've done here? Like, I like this.
Okay, there's nothing that, to use the word that one of my
The reason I
clients
pulled
would
this
use-
up,
yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah, I can't wait.
No,
Please
go
tell
on.
me.
I'll wait till you're done.
Well, there's nothing. It's a beautiful home by all means. Would I love to stay at it? I would love to. I would love if my friend said, come visit me in Miami for a week. We have the most incredible property. We have an Airbnb, whatever. We live at the space. I would love to be a guest at this home. Do I want to live there? No. With children? Absolutely not. And aesthetically, I find it very cold. I don't find it very, I think it's not, it's very general. Like it looks like the Four Seasons. It looks like a
Right.
beautiful boutique hotel.
From the
These
outside,
are very
right?
common in Toronto.
Yeah.
You know, I don't find it personal at all.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like,
Would-
as
would,
far as aesthetics,
And I
like
can tell you where
the
everything
colors,
was sourced
like
too.
the color, right?
Yeah.
This is what I was gonna ask you. So
Mhm.
when I see properties like this, and I see that the interior colors, choices, materials chosen, as you see here,
Yes.
kitchen, main level, you see these color schemes, but then all of it, and you see that backsplash and the colors. We're doing a lot of dark gray, silver,
Yeah.
white, and then all of a sudden you have this. Is this meant to be very different than everything else? Like all of a sudden you have this.
This is not throwing me. It's just that I think, again, this is probably, well, not probably, this is a very, from my experience, I feel the current owner is probably very disengaged with the design process. They kind of go, I've had this said to me, the dancers dance and the singers will sing, do your job. Like, you have our budget, don't go over it.
Yeah.
If I love something, we'll
Yeah.
buy it, but
Yeah.
you know the stores that you're
Would
gonna
it,
go
Let
to.
the dancers dance, let the singers
Yeah, like
sing.
this doesn't feel like something where, and I could be wrong, someone could come back and say this was I sweat, blood, tears, whatever over this project.
Mhm.
But if anything, that's the kind of client that's usually so demanding yet very disengaged.
Yeah.
It's like they want it done tomorrow. They're not going to be there tomorrow. They're going to be at their other second, third home tomorrow, but it has to be done tomorrow. They have a huge budget, but they want everything in stock. It's a mental fuck. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like it
yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And the end product, it is a very impressive property, but I would never want to live at a property like that. I'd want to live in a beautiful home in Britannia that I'm taking that is the original.
Or a 1900 Inglewood like we were looking at.
I would, but I would really love, that's the neighborhood that I've really come to
Britannia?
love the most. Britannia, I
Yeah.
love it. That's
It
where
is a
I'm
great
going
neighborhood.
right now to get the kids.
5:30 you have to leave.
yeah,
right? You have to
2
get there.
minutes.
Yeah.
But I love that neighborhood. It feels like a family neighborhood. It's
That's where we would do our
family-driven.
events once a month.
Where?
There's a little community center there where we do like explain who we
temple?
are.
Right there?
Wasn't the temple? It's
There's
right
a
beside
big,
the park.
big green space next to it.
Yeah.
It's a community center.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yes, I love it. And they have the coffee shop, they have the eye doctor, the dentist, the
Yeah.
bank, the Sunterra,
yeah.
all of the amenities that are walkable. And
Yeah.
so, that's a beautiful space, but doesn't excite me.
You said it.
Young
I
me,
think
yes.
I
Not
think you
me
said it
now.
absolutely correctly.
Yeah.
It's very like it looks like a fancy hotel.
It does. It's like American Psycho vibes. Like that's, it's very sterile.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say it gives you a
Yeah.
resort lobby kind
And
of.
I
Resort
would
lobby.
love
Yeah.
to stay there, like hand me my margarita.
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
Let me kick
exactly,
back.
exactly.
But then to, look around and I don't know.
And I regret to say this, but I have so many more questions for you, and unfortunately
come
we're
back.
running out of
No,
time.
we're gonna come on your show,
Oh
right?
yeah, right,
yes,
right.
yes.
We'll save them for that.
Yes.
We want to thank you so much for coming on to our podcast. This has been great. So much fun.
So much fun. I'm looking forward to being on yours so we can talk more.
Yeah.
We'll end this by always asking our guests if two things. Number one, what do you love most about YYC? And if there's something you could change, what would it be?
Okay, I love my parents being here. I have to say that. The family element for us, Blaire's father's here, his mother's close. That is just, everything. What would I change? The cold.
Yeah.
If it was like this all year
Yeah.
round with some slight fluctuations,
You'd
otherwise,
love it.
it
but
is a perfect city.
It's
It
great,
is.
right?
It
It's-
even
it's-
has a
it's
VIP
amazing.
theater. It has everything you could possibly want.
Yeah.
It really does.
Except 6 months of -30.
Yeah, except for
Yeah.
that. So, that's really
Yeah.
that's it.
The weather?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We've
but
heard that
blue
before.
skies,
Yeah.
blue skies
Well,
throughout the year.
We've
I
actually
can handle that.
we've actually talked about it on our show.
Yes.
Like we are one of in the entire world
Yeah.
sunniest
Yes.
places.
Yes.
We have 333 days of sun.
And that
On
makes
average.
such a difference in Toronto. You get gray skies for weeks at a time, months. And by the end of it, you think, how will this ever change? And then finally, a light switch goes on. But it is always blue skied here. Every time I see the mountains now, I feel so grateful. I do not take it for granted anymore, which I
Yeah.
did because they were always there before.
But now-
I love it.
To be honest, like since I got married and had children, like I kind of neglected that
That we
benefit
have
that we
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
But I've taken advantage of it any chance we get. It's like when we don't know, we have time, we're all together, we don't know what to do. We just drive an hour and a half, and we're in the mountains,
It's
just
right
us.
there.
Yeah.
And we discover a new path, a new hike.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So
It
to me,
is.
like us sitting here, big city, but we can drive 1 hour and be in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. I
know,
really
it's
enjoy
like you're in
that.
Switzerland. Suddenly.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So thanks again
Thank
for
you.
coming on. One more time. For Porter, we will tag everything, but forporter.com. Is it For Porter Inc. at For Porter Inc.?
It's at For Porter Inc. Yes,
Yeah.
you got it. I had to think about that.
Yeah, so forporter.com, check out the website, and Instagram For Porter Inc. We will put the tags in, but there's that
Yeah.
for you guys. Please check it out.
This has been episode 26, and thank you guys so much for watching.
And thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being on. We
So
really
great meeting
appreciate
you
it.
both.
Thank you. All right. Till next time.